If you remember, I did a video on this conference that indigenous and native people were speaking about the rights or the misinjustice that North America are doing to the indigenous people. And I was correcting the different things that he was saying in that conference. I'm going to show you something. And I said when he was speaking, he never said the nation, and he wanted to talk about steps. And we don't need to go by steps because we already got those steps. I'm going to read you something real specific. Now, pay attention. It's at the top of this bottom paragraph. It's at the bottom of it, the top of the paragraph, the top paragraph at the bottom. And it says, this is when the prophet received the mandate or received the pure express trust or received the treaty by the Sultan at that particular time at the Havana Conference of the Americas, the Pan American Conferences. That's what it was called. And these Pan American Conferences will later become the designer of today's world-renowned United Nations, which issued the Declaration of Human Rights for all peoples of all nations. Now, my whole point of reading that is, if at the Pan American Conference was the equivalent of today's United Nations conferences or meetings, at that meeting, the prophet received the mandate, meaning he received the ownership of North, Central, and South America. That's what he received. We already got what we need. We just not one nation to enforce it. And I know you don't believe me, so I'm going to just read it. Now, the prophet had a translator with him when he went to Cuba. His name was Brother Kirkman Bay. And when he could also speak Spanish and Arabic. And when the United States Secretary of State heard him speak, Charles Even Hughes heard the Brother Kirkman Bay speak, he said, "That's a dangerous man." The United States' subsequent 50-year mandate for this land had expired in 1836. At this conference, the mandate of this land was returned to the Moors, the original indigenous owners of the land, whose seat of power was the Sultanate in the East, Morocco. The prophet reportedly showed the mandate to his officials in the adept chamber, and that the oral history comes down to us this day. The mandate was written in Arabic. They had a translator translate this in 1932 after the prophet's transition by Dr. Sanook Haronji. The United States didn't even know what it said because it was hidden for so long. Islam.